A very long time ago, in a remote village, there lived a poor woodcutter. Every morning he would wake up early, go into the forest, cut wood all day, and in the evening, he would take that wood to the market and sell it. With whatever money he got, he would feed himself, his wife, and his children. One day, while he was cutting wood in the forest, just as he raised his axe to strike a tree, suddenly a spirit appeared in front of him. The spirit said, "Your presence here causes us great trouble. You cut these trees all day long. You must stop cutting these trees and leave this place at once." The poor woodcutter was shocked. He replied, "If I leave this forest, then how will I feed my wife and children? How will I fill their stomachs?" When the spirit heard this, he became quiet for a moment and began to think. He felt deep pity for this poor woodcutter. Then the spirit said, "I will give you compensation for the trees you have cut. I will pay you back." The woodcutter was surprised and asked, "How will you give me compensation? I can see nothing with you. You have nothing." The spirit said, "Turn around and look behind you." When the woodcutter turned around, he saw a goat. Half of its body was black, and the other half was white. The spirit explained, "If you milk the white side of this goat, you will get milk. If you milk the black side, you will get pure ghee, and this goat's wealth will never, ever end. Now take this goat with you, leave this forest, and never show your face here again." The poor woodcutter took the goat and returned home. When he reached home, he told his wife the whole story. He asked his wife to milk the goat. The wife brought a pot. When she milked the white side, fresh milk flowed out. When she milked the black side, pure ghee came out. The woodcutter could not believe his eyes. His joy had no limits. Soon, 2 large pots were filled, one with milk and one with ghee. He took them to the market, sold everything, and bought food and other supplies. He also bought 4 new pots. A few days later, he returned home with a donkey loaded with many goods. Now he had 2 donkeys, then 3. And like this, his life completely changed into one of prosperity and happiness. The woodcutter had a neighbor who watched all of this happening. The neighbor kept wondering, where did this poor woodcutter get all this wealth? One day, the neighbor said to his wife, "You go to the woodcutter's house and find out where all this wealth comes from." When the woodcutter went to the market one day, the neighbor's wife went to the woodcutter's house. She began talking with the woodcutter's wife. The woodcutter's wife treated her with great respect. She offered her milk, ghee, and fresh bread. She said, "Come, let us have breakfast together." When the neighbor's wife tasted the bread, she found it delicious. She asked, "Do you have this much milk and ghee in large quantities?" Without thinking, the woodcutter's wife replied, "Yes, we have plenty. We eat it, we sell it, and it never runs out." The neighbor's wife thought to herself, "This amount of wealth must come from a huge herd of animals. But the woodcutter's house is so small. There must be some secret," and she decided to find it out. Then she said, "My son is sick. Could you give me a little milk and ghee?" The woodcutter's wife said, "Of course. Please wait. Let me fill a pot for you." When the woodcutter's wife got up and went to the goat to milk it, the neighbor's wife peeked from the room and watched her. She saw a strange-looking goat in the courtyard, which the woodcutter's wife was milking. She became very happy and returned to her spot. She took the pot of milk and ghee and went back home. At home, she told her husband everything she had seen. The husband waited for night to fall. When darkness covered the entire village, that man climbed over the wall of the woodcutter's house and entered. He stole the magical goat and replaced it with an ordinary goat that looked exactly the same in color. When he was sure that no one would recognize the difference, he returned home and hid the stolen goat. The next morning, when the woodcutter's wife went to milk the goat, she got only a little bit of milk. She told her husband. The woodcutter ran and looked closely at the goat. He shouted, "This is not our goat! Someone has stolen our goat." He asked his wife if anyone had come the previous day. She told him everything. The woodcutter said, "No one else could have done this except that neighbor. He is a very evil, hearted man. The woodcutter went to the village judge and told him the whole story. The neighbor also appeared there. The neighbor said, "This man is crazy. Has anyone ever heard of a goat that gives both milk and ghee?" The judge told the woodcutter, "I do not want to see you in front of me again. Do you understand? And do not bother your neighbor ever again. If you do, I will punish you severely." The woodcutter returned home, very sad. He continued spending whatever money he had left from before. When all his goods were finished, he even sold his pots and donkeys. Soon he had nothing left. His children began to starve from hunger. So the woodcutter picked up his axe again and went back to the forest to cut wood. He was very hopeless. Just at that moment, the same spirit appeared again. This time he was angry. He said, "Did we not agree that you would never come here again?" The woodcutter, filled with sorrow, replied, "My neighbor cheated me and stole my goat. That is why I am here. My children are hungry. I had to come back to work." When the spirit heard this, his anger softened. He said, "Here, take this measuring bowl. When you put a few small pebbles inside, they will turn into silver. And the bowl's treasure will never end. But be careful, keep it safe. Do not waste it." The woodcutter took the bowl and returned home. He put a small pebble into the bowl. When he turned it over, a piece of silver fell to the ground. He could not believe his own eyes. He shouted with joy, "We will become rich again!" He told his wife, "Listen, go to the neighbor's wife and borrow a chest. We will fill it with silver. I will go to the market and bring food and new chests." The woodcutter went to the market, and the woodcutter's wife went to the neighbor's house to ask for a chest. The neighbor's wife gave her a chest, but she kept thinking, what could they possibly put inside it? They have nothing. Meanwhile, the woodcutter sold the silver in the market, rebuilt his house, and started living a prosperous life again. His wife began wearing fine clothes, and his children ate good food. When the neighbor saw them living in happiness again, he thought to himself, "Just the other day he was begging for food from us, and now he is prosperous again. I must find out the secret. And that goat I stole, that is not enough. I want everything that this woodcutter has." The man went home and told his wife to go again to the woodcutter's wife and find out what they put in the chest. But this time, the woodcutter had strictly forbidden his wife to let the neighbor's wife into the house or tell her anything about the bowl. He said, "If the bowl is lost again, we will die of hunger, and I cannot go back to the forest again." The woodcutter's wife promised, and she kept the neighbor's wife away. The neighbor's wife tried very hard, but she could not discover the secret, even though the whole village was talking about it. One day, the neighbor's wife decided to clean her house. She started throwing out old things. When she opened that old chest that the woodcutter's wife had borrowed and returned, she saw something stuck in a corner. When she pulled it out, she found a piece of silver. She shouted to her husband, "Hey, come quickly! We took the milk and ghee, but we left the silver." The husband was astonished and said, "We must find out where this silver is coming from. We need to act quickly." The next day, the man went to the woodcutter's little son, who was playing with other children. He said, "If you answer my question, I will fill your pockets with candy." The little boy happily said, "Uncle, I will tell you everything." The man scratched his head and asked, "When your father went to the forest, did he bring back any strange thing?" The boy replied, "I don't know, but I did see a brass bowl with strange markings, and my father wraps it in a silk cloth and hides it under his bed." Hearing this, the man was very happy. He gave the boy candy and went home. He sat thinking of a way to steal that bowl and get the silver. Then he went to the village judge and told him that the woodcutter had found a treasure that belonged to the public treasury. The judge said that such matters belonged to the governor. So the man went to the governor and told him about the woodcutter's wealth. The governor was very pleased. He rubbed his hands and said, "You did well to tell me. I will transfer the silver to the palace and fill my treasuries. Now tell me, what reward do you want?" The man said, I just want that bowl back, because that bowl was taken from me. I have no shortage of wealth, but I need that bowl for my work." The governor said, "Fine, we will find your bowl and return it to you. But first, show me your neighbor's house." The next day, the governor arrived at the woodcutter's house with his soldiers. They seized the woodcutter, tied him to a tree, beat him, and threatened to kill him if he did not tell them about the silver. The woodcutter showed them all the chests. When the chests were opened, the governor was stunned by the glitter of so much silver. His greed grew even more. He asked the woodcutter, "Tell me truthfully, where did you get this silver?" "I will let you go," the woodcutter said. "I got all this silver from a friend to do spirit, when I was cutting wood in the forest. But now there is nothing left there." The governor said, "You are lying. I know you fill a chest with silver every week. That means you have a lot more, but you don't want to tell me. Isn't that so?" Then he ordered his men to beat the woodcutter until he revealed everything. Just then, the woodcutter's wife came running and fell at the governor's feet. She cried, "Please don't do this. I will tell you the whole truth." And she told the governor about the magic bowl that turned pebbles into silver. The governor listened and said, "Now I understand why this man complained about his neighbor. What a despicable person!" Then the governor started to leave. The greedy neighbor said, "My lord, you have forgotten your promise." The governor replied sternly, "Get out of my sight. Be thankful I am not punishing you for your lies and deceit. I did not like what you did to your neighbor. Leave, you greedy man." The neighbor went home, ashamed and regretting his greed. His wife scolded him, "Your luck is bad. Whoever takes the silver will somehow get the bowl. Your neighbor hides many secrets. Let me handle it next time." Meanwhile, the woodcutter had sold his donkeys and chests again. Soon he had nothing to eat. After some time, he went back to the forest. Just as he raised his axe to cut a large tree, the spirit appeared again, his eyes red with anger. "Was the bowl not enough for you that you have come back to bother us?" The woodcutter cried and told the spirit everything. The spirit felt pity once more. He placed a hand on the woodcutter's shoulder and said, "Your wife loves you very much. This time, I will give you something that no one will be able to see, and you will not need pots or chests." He handed the woodcutter a wooden stick and said, "Place this stick in your garden. In the morning, when dewdrops fall on it, they will turn into diamonds. Listen carefully, this is the last time I am giving you something to earn your livelihood. After this, you must manage on your own, away from us. Do you understand?" The woodcutter bowed his head and said, "Next time I will sell my house and leave this village, because there is no benefit in living with such wicked and greedy neighbors." He returned home and told his wife. The next morning, they saw 3 diamonds of unmatched beauty. The woodcutter took 1 diamond to a jeweler, sold it, and brought back many goods. He was careful to act as if he had nothing. But the neighbor's wife, using her cunning, soon found out that the woodcutter was hiding something. She pressured her husband to find out the secret quickly. The king also heard about these large diamonds and ordered an investigation. But the woodcutter was very cautious. He would sell diamonds to different jewelers and bury the money. One night, the woodcutter had many guests and stayed up late. The next morning, he woke up late. A crow came and saw diamonds lying on the wooden stick. The crow picked up 1 diamond and flew away. The neighbor's wife saw all of this. She followed the crow until it reached its nest. She put her hand into the nest and found a diamond. She was astonished and said to herself, "My neighbor has a treasure of diamonds, and I didn't even know. Where did he get this?" She returned and climbed onto her roof to see more, but there was nothing. Then suddenly, the king's procession stopped in front of the woodcutter's house. The neighbor's wife said, "Alice, the king has arrived before us." When the king questioned the woodcutter, he denied everything, saying he was just a poor man who cut wood. The soldiers searched his house. They found nothing except a few coins. No one paid any attention to the wooden stick. The king thought his spies must have been mistaken. As he was about to leave, the neighbor's wife approached the king and said, "If you are looking for those diamonds, the woodcutter has them, and he hides them in the forest." The king asked, "Who guarantees that you are telling the truth?" She pulled a diamond from her pocket and said, "I found this diamond in the forest." The king seized the woodcutter, his wife and his children, took them to the forest, and threatened to put them in a dungeon, where they would never see light again if they did not reveal the diamond's location. The woodcutter's wife broke down crying and told everything about the goat that gave milk and ghee, the bowl that turned pebbles into silver, and the wooden stick that turned dew into diamonds. She also told how their neighbors had cheated them to steal those magic items. The king listened silently. Then he asked, "Where is that goat and that bowl now?" The woodcutter said, "The neighbor stole the goat, and the governor has the bowl." The king said, "I will send my men to your neighbor's house. If your words are true, I will set you free. If false, you will not survive." Meanwhile, the neighbor's wife, seeing the woodcutter's house empty, entered and searched everywhere. She finally found the wooden stick with 3 diamonds on it. Still unsatisfied, she went into other rooms and took everything she liked. As she came out, the king's soldiers stopped her and said, "Stop, thief! Show us what you have stolen from your neighbor's house." But she threw the bag over her shoulder and ran, saying, "This is enough for me. I don't need this old house or my foolish husband anymore." However, she tripped and fell. The soldiers caught her and brought her before the king. When the bag was opened, the wooden stick was inside. The king asked, "Why did you steal this stick? Where did you get these fine clothes? We found nothing in the woodcutter's house. You and your husband have been spying on him. Tell me everything." The woman refused. She was beaten until her skin began to peel. Finally, she screamed, "Stop, my lord! Have mercy. I will tell you everything." She confessed that every time the woodcutter went to the forest, he brought back a magic item, first the goat, then the bowl, then the stick. The king then ordered the woodcutter and his family freed, and the woman was given back her bag of clothes. The king sent his men to retrieve the goat. He then told the woman, "You may return home, but on one condition. You will keep watch on the woodcutter and inform me if he brings anything from the forest." The woman limped away, cursing her own greed. The king then summoned the governor and demanded the magic bowl and all the silver. The governor denied it at first, but the king ordered him beaten until he returned everything. The governor, humiliated, said, "Curse this greed. I was doing well before." The king then began collecting all the diamonds and silver for himself. He became the richest sultan of all. A few months later, the woodcutter's buried wealth ran out, and his children began to starve again. He went back to the forest. When the spirit appeared, his eyes were blazing red. "Were all those things not enough for you? How greedy you are!" The woodcutter cried and told him everything. The spirit bowed his head and said, "Your neighbor's wife and the governor have already received their punishment. Only the king remains." Then the spirit gave the woodcutter a wooden stick and said, "If you say to this stick the first time, 'Give me something from your blessing,' it will scatter diamonds and jewels around you. But if you say it a second time, it will beat you so hard that your bones will show. Be careful that this stick does not fall into the king's hands. Do you understand?" The woodcutter smiled and said, "I am sure this stick will beat the king well, so that he leaves his deceit." The spirit said, "Soon you will hear news that will make you happy." The woodcutter took the stick home and waited. As soon as the neighbor's wife peeked through her window, the woodcutter raised the stick and said, "Give me something from your blessing." Immediately, the stick scattered diamonds. The woman ran to the king to tell him everything, hoping for a reward. The king's soldiers took the stick from the woodcutter. When the king was alone, he said to the stick, "Give me something from your blessing." At once, the stick began to beat him. It followed him everywhere. No matter where he ran, the stick kept hitting him. Then the spirit appeared before the king and said, You have taken things that you were not entitled to. Return them immediately to their owner." The king, covered in wounds and pain, screamed, "I will return everything. But first stop this stick!" The stick stopped. The king ordered his soldiers to return all 3 items to the woodcutter. Then the spirit said, "I hope you will never again take someone else's livelihood and never be arrogant because you are a king. There are powers greater than you." The king, writhing in pain, said, "I promise. I will give away 1/4 of my wealth in charity. Just take this stick away from me." The spirit laughed and disappeared. Now, the woodcutter had back his goat, his bowl, and his stick. But he had changed inside. He looked at his neighbor, the man and his wife who had cheated him, stolen from him, and caused him so much pain. That neighbor and his wife were now living in terrible poverty. They had no food, no money. Their children were also hungry. The woodcutter's wife said, "They are our enemies. Let them suffer." But the woodcutter shook his head. He said, "I have known hunger. I have known helplessness. I cannot see anyone in this village suffer, not even those who wronged me." So the woodcutter went to his neighbor's house. He carried a pot of fresh milk, a basket of bread, and a bag of silver coins. The neighbor saw him coming and hid behind the door, afraid. The woodcutter knocked and said, "Brother, do not be afraid. I have not come to take revenge. I have come to help." The neighbor fell to his knees and wept. "I am so sorry," he cried. "I have done terrible things to you. Please forgive me." The woodcutter lifted him up and said, "I forgive you. From today, let us forget the past. You are my neighbor, and I will treat you like family." The neighbor's wife also came out, crying and apologizing. The woodcutter gave them food and silver, and from that day on, he helped them rebuild their life. He did the same for other poor families in the village. He used the magical goat to give milk and ghee to the hungry. He used the magic bowl to make silver and bought medicines for the sick. He used the wooden stick to create diamonds, which he sold to build a school for the village children. The king, true to his word, gave away much of his wealth in charity and never bothered the woodcutter again. The governor and the judge, who had once been corrupt, saw the woodcutter's kindness and changed their ways. The woodcutter never left his village. He lived there for the rest of his life, surrounded by friends and family. Everyone loved him. He taught that forgiveness is greater than revenge, and that helping others is the truest wealth. Years later, when the woodcutter grew old, the villagers built a small monument in his honor. And whenever children would ask how he became so happy, the elders would say he had magic gifts, yes. But his real magic was his kind heart. He forgave those who hurt him, and he helped everyone, even his enemies. That is why his life was blessed. The story spread far and wide. And to this day, people in that village tell their children, "Do not be greedy like the neighbor. Do not be proud like the king. Be like the woodcutter, honest, forgiving, and generous. For in the end, it is not the diamonds or silver that make you rich. It is the love and respect you earn from others that truly lasts forever."